The binary operator overloading. So what is binary operator? Which acts upon two variables, which acts upon two operand. Okay. As we know that what is operand? It may be the variable or it may be the constant. It can be the variable or it may be the constant. So for example, what are the binary operators we have? There are many binary operators. That is arithmetic operator, then logical operators, bitwise operators, relational operators. So all these operators can be overloaded in C++. Okay, so we'll see how to overload this with the syntax. As we are working with the friend function, so let's take a syntax to overload the binary operator using a friend function. So it should be declared. Where we have to declare? It should be declared in the class. Okay, class, and need to define outside the class. Define outside the class. Outside the class. As it is a friend function we are using. Friend function. So it need to take, as it is for binary, how many arguments it takes? Arguments it will take. How many arguments it will take? Two arguments. Okay. So the syntax is friend is a keyword, return type. Then the operator is the key to overload the operators. Then the op, which operator you are going to overload. Then class name, one object. Then class name, two. Okay. So this is the syntax for overloading the binary operator. Where we have to declare, it should be declared within the class. Where we have to define outside the class. This is a friend function. Friend is a non-member of the class. So if you want to access the data members and member functions of the class, then we need to mention to which class it belongs. Hence, this is the syntax. I hope you are clear with the syntax. So let's take where it is applicable. Why we need this overloading? For example, let's take a complex number. Okay, complex number. It may you can do for a addition or a subtraction, whatever the operation you want to perform. Like simple addition of two number means a is equal to 2, b is equal to 3, so c is equal to a plus b. And this is applying on the variables. What they are? They are the variables. But the overloading here works rather variable. Here you are going to create class name in main method. You have to create the object class name, object 1, object 2, object 3, and so on. So here object 3 is equal to object 1 plus object 2. So this is the overloading operator. Which operator you are going to overload? Operator to overload you have to mention here. Where it's working on? It's working on the objects. Where it works? It works on objects rather than the variable. For example, now complex number. So what are the complex number? C1 contains the real part plus imaginary part. Then similarly C2 contains the real part and imaginary part. Now what we are doing? The C3 is the object where we are adding C1 plus C2. It means that the C3 will become, what is, how we are going to do? C3 dot real is equal to C1 dot real plus C2 dot real. Similarly, C3 dot imaginary values are to be calculated as first one object the imaginary part value plus second one object imaginary part value. Means how we are going to do here? So real part is added, that is C1 dot real as it is being written here. Okay, so this, let's take an example for this so that you can understand here. So where it was on the object. So enter the, first you are going to enter cout, that is enter real part, real and imaginary part for both. So here I have taken as 20 plus I3 and I have taken 5 plus I20. So this is the C1 values and these are the C2 object where it contains the real part and it contains the imaginary value. So now how to add the C3? C3 is added as I23 plus this is 25. How it is added? It added that C3 dot real. What is the real part of C3? C1 dot real plus C2 dot real. So real parts are being added and are three parts to be added. If one more example, so that why we need operator overloading, you will understand. So two times. Okay, addition of two times. Okay, the concept we will learn later. Addition of two times. If I want to take the time, what are the things will come if it is? I will take a standard that is hour, minute, and second. How many variables are here? There are still will come millisecond, microsecond, but at present I am taking with the three. So let's go with seconds. So how many variables are here? Three variables belongs to one object. Belongs to one object. Hence we are going to use the overloading here. Okay. So if I read a time T1 is 20 hours, 30 minutes, 20 seconds. Now time T2, that is 30 minutes, 30 hours, 5 minutes and 2 seconds. So this represent hour, this represent minute and this represent second. Calculate the T3. What you have to do? Calculating T3 is nothing but you have to calculate the seconds. Second is equal to second mod 60. Then that will convert into the second and it will become the minute. Okay. Minute. That is at present here it is not. So it will be the 22 seconds. So here it is. Minute also same. Mod by minute, mod by 50. So it will become 1 minute. Otherwise it will convert into the hour. So here it is 35 minutes. Similarly for hour, how many hour equal to 1 day? So we have to convert as a day. That is 24 hours is equal to the day. Okay. So the total hour is mod to 24. So that will convert into 1 day. Here it is. How much it is? A 50. 50 means 50 mod 24. So how much it will happen? 24, 24, 48. 48 means 2 hours. That is days, 2 days, 2 hours, 35 minutes, 22 seconds. So in this case, we need the overloading. So let's take one of the program for understanding this. That is addition of complex number. Addition of complex number using friend function. What we are doing? Using friend. So class name is complex. Okay. So how many variables are required? We need two variables. Public, we can take float, R, otherwise I will write for real and imaginary variable, two variables. And let's take a constructor to initialize the variables initially. Complex is the default constructor where initial value of real is 0 and imaginary value is 0. Okay. And let's have the display method. Why? Display data. Okay. See out. We'll put into the real part. Real value is equal to how we are going to write real. Directly I will write instead of doing so. Real. Then I want in between plus I. Okay. That is imaginary part and okay. And also inline. Fine. Let's declare the method to overload friend. Return type should be the class complex. Then the operator. Which operator I am performing here? I am performing for addition. So operator is plus then. The complex two arguments we are going to take complex C1 and complex C. This is the declaration part and close with the case. I repeat once again here so that I will clear and I will go further. So here the float, what we are doing class complex. Float, we are taking both are the floating point or integer. The real part and the imaginary part, as the complex C1 contains 2 plus I3, C2 contains 5 plus I10. So what it is? The real part and the imaginary part. Default value, both are 0, 0. How many objects you will create? Those many, the constructors are to be initialized. And display, I want to display in this format, that is 2 plus I3 format or plus I. So this is plus I am giving for a cout, and the value whichever you are going to read into the real part and whatever the value you are going to read into the imaginary. Okay, so we can pass here or we can read the value. One more method we will take here, the method for reading. Okay, I can use one more for like a constructor overloading where we can take the two value, that is float x and float y. Okay, so this dot real is equal to x and this of imaginary is given to y. Okay, so we can take this as a constructor also here. If you don't want that, directly you can do real part equal to x, and this is this pointer which hold the current data member of the function. You can assign. So let's write the function to overload. So how to overload now? We have to write the return type as the complex, as the name of the class itself. Then we have the operator. Then which operator we are overloading? We are overloading the plus and complex C1 is one object and complex C2 is another object. Okay, I will create one more for a calculation complex C3. So what we have to do now? C3 dot real is equal to C1 dot real. The operation we have to perform, that is C2 dot real, and C3 dot imaginary is equal to C1 dot imaginary plus C2 dot imaginary. Once it's calculated, we have to return what is that? C3, as the data is stored in C3. Okay, so this is how the computation is done. Now, in main, we are going to create object for this complex obj1, obj2, a number of objects you can create, obj3. So here you can, the default constructors are been given. Instead of default constructor, I will use the parameterized constructor so that you can do the thing. Okay. So here default first constructor, I will call object with 2 comma 3. Second, I will create the object 2 as I have used their parameterized constructor 5 comma 6 and the object 3. So how to call that now? How to overload? That is object 3 dot is equal to object 1 plus object 2. Okay, so you have overloaded the plus on the objects now. Then you can display here now object 3 dot display method. Okay, so this is the program to overload the binary operator using the friend function. So if you trace this, what will happen? If you trace, first the default constructors will be invoked and you are going to get the C1 object is 2 plus I3, whereas C2 object is 5 plus I6. Then you are calculating, that is the object 3 you are calculating, that will come as I9 plus 7. So this will be your result when you are going to execute the function.